One of the biggest problems affecting technical and vocational education, especially now in this time of COVID-19, is inequity. What exactly is it? Why does it affect TVET so badly? And what can be done to solve it or at least address it? Hi everyone, my name is Kendelle Crepin. I am a recent welding diploma graduate and valedictorian from the National Energy Skills Center at Point Lisas. And I'm here to talk briefly about the challenges we face when trying to level the playing field for TechVox students in Trinidad and Tobago. So we all know what equity is. It's the ultimate goal of any good education system or policy. It's making sure everyone has access to the same opportunities for learning and certification. But we are also all aware of how uniquely difficult this goal is to achieve, even in the best of times, especially in trade colleges. Add to that this current unprecedented global pandemic, and you'd be forgiven for thinking it was impossible to deal with. But deal with it we have to. And to do that, I think we need a better understanding of what exactly is going on. Now, normally, when we think about the things that may prevent students from successfully acquiring a trade certificate, the usual suspects are lack of money for them to regularly and reliably attend class, and a lack of money to buy necessary tools, equipment, PPE for their workshop practice, basically a lack of money. And with the current COVID-19 restrictions, this lack of money now translates into some students having no computer at home or a lack of internet access, which again means they cannot access online classes. This is already bad enough for any area of study, but remember, there is a massive practical component to technical education: workshop practice, lab work, practical assessments. So while some students are missing out on online theory classes, all TechVox students will be missing out on guided hands-on practice. I think this aspect of TVET is the hardest to mitigate in such complicated times like now. So what can we do? In TVET institutions, I've seen many instances where a new solution or policy or set of rules is put in place with the intention of improving access and the quality of training for students, only for that to fail, either by being ineffective or by making things worse. It's not that these solutions are bad or poorly thought out. I just think that better communication with the target audience, in this case the students, is needed. So if the goal is to find a solution to make remote learning more accessible for all students, it's important that the students, the ones most affected by this, be given a chance to voice their opinions on the matter. It's a bad habit of trade schools, especially locally, to severely underestimate their trainees. The common assumption is that trade schools are for dunce children, the troublemakers and the academic failures. And because of this assumption, these students are often ignored. If they fail, it's because they're not applying themselves. They're not working hard enough. But I've known quite a few trainees who showed a great deal of potential, only to fail their courses because of some small problem that should have been addressed earlier. And most times, trainees don't even need any physical resources to solve their problem. In fact, most times they just need the right advice or encouragement or push in the right direction. There are so many students with small but critical problems that keep them from applying their best to their training. And these problems go unnoticed and unresolved because no one is talking to them. No one is asking any questions. The solution is simple enough: more and better engagement with the student body. Not just vague surveys or unexplained questionnaires, but with small focus groups with the class representatives. One-on-one interviews with students, especially those who are identified as needing additional help. One solution that I personally wish to see happen, COVID or not, is the creation and implementation of scholarships specifically for TVET fields. The scholarship system as it currently stands only rewards the highest achievers in traditional academic subjects. Now, the issues I have with this don't end there, but I don't have enough time to get into it. But ultimately, I believe the incentive of a paid scholarship to a prestigious trade college will help motivate future trainees and, more importantly, offset the difficult to bear cost of schooling and training. Now, as I said earlier, the biggest problem for TVET institutions to tackle with COVID-19 restrictions in place is how we handle practical training and assessment. Finding solutions isn't actually hard. There are a lot of online computer-based technologies at our disposal. In fact, with regards to remote learning, technology continues to innovate at a breakneck pace, with new and cutting-edge tech ideas coming out almost every day. However, the real challenge lies in making these solutions fair, balanced, and most importantly, accessible. Online classes are standard by now, but in Mexico, a lower tech solution was found. TV stations were used to broadcast video lessons for students living in rural areas who had little or no internet access. This is a good reminder that remote learning doesn't have to be high-tech to be effective. But speaking of high-tech, I personally play a lot of video games, as do most TechVox students. There is a genre of video games called simulators that have grown in popularity in recent years. Everything from the exciting flight simulators, allowing you to fly all types of planes, to the more mundane bus driving and truck driving simulators. With regard to tradecrafts, specifically, there is even an auto mechanic simulator, where you not only get to fix cars in detail, but you also have to run a successful garage business, like invest in equipment, maintaining good customer satisfaction, expanding business, all that kind of thing. The thing about these games is they are designed with as much realism as possible, so much so that they can and have been used in real practical training. Now, each trade is different, but I would love to see a future with more simulator games designed for all the trade crafts: welding, plumbing, electrical. The possibilities are endless and exciting, in my opinion. This is me dreaming about some far-flung future of vocational learning. All of this technology is ready and achievable right now, today. But of course, the technology is the problem. The availability and the accessibility of it for the average student, that's the problem. And that's how we come back to the real problem again: inequity. The unbalanced access to the resources needed for learning, in this case, technology and communication. This is a real problem we have to tackle, because left unchecked, it renders all the other solutions useless. There are some possible workarounds to dealing with practical lessons. The simplest is probably staggered schedule for workshop practice. Classes divided into smaller groups, and each group is rostered to come into the workshop at different times with no overlap. Workshops can be rearranged to ensure there is more space between individual workstations. For some trades, there could even be a portable workstation that an instructor can drive around with to reach the rural areas where trainees may be harder to get to. Realistically, no one solution will work for everyone. In order to ensure that everyone gets a good chance to learn and practice, a combination of techniques needs to be incorporated in one concerted effort. To easier facilitate all of this, the policies in place, the rules and guidelines, they need to be flexible, they need to be adaptable. And above all else, for everyone to get what they specifically need to succeed in their trade, communication between all stakeholders must improve. Now more than ever, in our mutual isolations, we need to find better and more effective ways to engage one another. Now, I can keep going on about all this, but I'm quickly running out of time. So in short, the many answers to the inequities that crop up in TVET are numerous and complicated, but for any of them to be successful, they must start with better communication. So I hope you all found my little talk useful. If you made it all the way to the end, I'm flattered and I thank you for your attention. And until next time, stay safe and never stop learning.